All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Prepping for an immigration policy officer interview.
Okay.
You're stepping into a world where you're shaping policies for refugee integration, for how people move across borders and international cooperation.
Yeah.
It's rewarding, it's challenging, and we're going to help you ace that interview
Awesome.
using RoleCatcher's incredible resources,
Great.
especially their career and interview guides.
Yeah, that's good.
We've got some fascinating insights to share, so buckle up.
It's a field that combines understanding the law,
Yeah.
cultural sensitivity, and the big picture of global dynamics.
Oh, wow.
And RoleCatcher's AI tools can be a game changer,
Really?
like analyzing job descriptions and tailoring your CV,
Oh, interesting.
and even giving feedback on your answers.
Oh, wow, that's great.
It's like having an expert in your corner.
So, okay, before we even get to those interview questions,
Yeah.
what does an immigration policy officer actually do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. We'll think of them as the architects of how nations welcome and integrate people from diverse backgrounds.
Oh, okay.
They develop those integration strategies we hear about, creating welcoming environments for refugees and asylum seekers.
Okay.
They also craft policies for international movement, ensuring everything aligns with those complex international laws and conventions.
So it's not just about who gets to immigrate,
Right.
but the whole
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
the nuts and bolts of making it work smoothly and fairly.
Exactly. And a big part of that is improving how nations communicate and cooperate on immigration. It's a global issue, and these officers are the bridge builders,
Oh, wow.
ensuring everyone's on the same page and policies are effective.
That sounds fascinating, but also incredibly demanding.
It can be.
What are some of the biggest challenges someone in this role faces?
Well, you're dealing with very sensitive situations, the kind that impact real people's lives.
Yeah.
The decisions you're part of carry a lot of weight and responsibility.
I can imagine.
Plus, immigration laws are constantly changing, so continuous learning is vital.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher actually recommends staying updated through news sources,
Yes.
journals on immigration and human rights, even attending conferences.
Right.
It's a field where you never stop learning.
For sure.
But let's flip it. What are the most rewarding parts of this career?
Knowing you're making a tangible difference.
Yeah.
You're shaping a more inclusive and equitable society by influencing policies that directly affect people's lives.
Wow.
You're part of giving people a chance at a new beginning.
That's powerful.
It is.
Absolutely. Okay. So we've got a sense of the role.
All right.
But let's get to the heart of this deep dive.
Okay.
The interview.
Right.
RoleCatcher sample questions are a goldmine.
Yeah.
So let's tackle them one by one.
Sounds good.
They have questions for all levels, but we'll focus on the mid-level ones unless otherwise noted.
Okay.
First up, walk me through your experience in immigration policy.
Okay.
Seems simple. But what are interviewers really looking for here?
Well, they want to gauge your understanding of the field and how your past experiences, whether professional or volunteer work, have prepared you. It's not about listing job titles. It's about highlighting what you achieved in those roles.
Okay.
How you tackled problems.
So if I volunteered at a refugee resettlement agency,
Yeah.
I shouldn't just say I filed paperwork.
Right.
I should talk about a specific challenge I helped solve and the impact it had.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Let's say you streamline the intake process.
Yeah.
Reducing wait times for families. Quantify that impact.
Okay.
That it helped 20% more families get settled faster?
Right.
Those details make your experience come alive.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
All right, next question. How do you stay updated on policy changes?
Okay.
Why is this such a common question?
Because immigration law is always evolving.
Oh, right.
The interviewers want to see that you're proactive,
Yeah.
not someone who falls behind.
Okay.
Mention specific sources, news outlets,
Yep.
journals like the Journal of Refugee Studies, professional groups you belong to.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher even has curated resources you can mention.
And don't be afraid to get specific, right? Like I subscribe to the Migration Policy Institute's newsletter and recently attended their conference on Pros You're Serious.
Absolutely. Now, for a trickier one,
Okay.
describe a time you used to make a difficult immigration policy decision.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
This is about more than just knowing the law. It's about judgment and ethics.
This one can be tough.
Yeah.
What's the best way to choose a situation that showcases those skills without getting lost in the weeds?
The STAR method is your friend.
Okay.
Situation, task, action, result.
Okay.
Briefly describe the context, the tough choice you faced, the actions you took, and the outcome. Choose a situation where ethical considerations were central, demonstrating your thought process.
For example, Maybe I had to decide on a case where the rules weren't clear-cut, and there were strong arguments on both sides.
Yeah.
I'd explain how I weighed the factors, consulted resources,
Yeah.
and made a decision I could stand behind ethically.
That's a perfect example. It's not about always having the right answer,
Right.
but showing you approach these complex issues thoughtfully and responsibly. Now, this next one is more for senior level roles.
Okay.
How do you balance the interest of immigrants and the host country in your policy recommendations?
This feels like a high-stakes question. Getting into that tricky balance of needs.
It is.
What are they really assessing here?
Your strategic thinking and understanding that immigration policy isn't black and white.
Right.
Acknowledge the complexity and explain how you strive for solutions that benefit both sides
Okay.
while staying within legal and ethical boundaries.
Yeah.
Using examples from your past experience where you successfully navigated similar situations
Right.
can be very powerful here.
So it's about showing you can see the big picture.
Yes.
Consider all perspectives. Not just jump to a simple solution.
Exactly.
Not like if you were designing a system from scratch.
Yeah.
What would be your priorities?
That's a great way to think about it. Speaking of priorities,
Okay.
let's move to another senior level question.
All right.
How do you ensure that immigration policies are fair and equitable?
Okay.
This gets right to your values as a policymaker.
What are some examples of initiatives or approaches that demonstrate a genuine focus on equity?
You can talk about your experience developing policies that consider the specific needs of marginalized groups,
Okay.
like refugees or asylum seekers, or any efforts you've made to address biases in the system, promoting inclusivity in the process.
So if I helped implement a program that provided language support for new arrivals,
Yeah.
or advocated for changes to a form that was culturally insensitive, those are good examples.
Exactly. It's about showing you're not just following the letter of the law, but actively working to make the system fairer for everyone.
Okay.
Now let's shift gears to a question about collaboration.
Okay.
Can you describe a time when you had to collaborate with other agencies or stakeholders on an immigration policy issue?
Collaboration is obviously huge in this kind of role.
Oh, yeah?
But what's the key to answering this effectively?
Choose a story that highlights both your teamwork skills and your individual contribution.
Okay.
Explain how you navigated differing viewpoints,
Right.
found common ground, and achieved a positive outcome.
Okay.
It's okay to talk about challenges, too.
Right.
How you overcame obstacles or managed disagreements constructively.
Yeah.
It shows you're a problem solver.
So, for example, if I worked on a project to improve communication between refugee resettlement agencies
Okay.
and local schools, I talk about how I facilitated meetings, helped resolve conflicts, and ultimately contributed to a smoother process for refugee families.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
It highlights your ability to work with different groups and achieve a shared goal.
Okay.
Let's move on to another senior level question.
All right.
How do you ensure that immigration policies comply with international laws and conventions?
This is where deep knowledge of those complex legal frameworks comes in, right?
Yeah. Yes.
What kind of resources can you mention to show you're on top of this?
You can reference specific UN conventions like the 1951 Refugee Convention or the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women.
Okay.
Talk about how you use these conventions to inform your policy recommendations,
Right.
ensuring they align with international standards.
And showing you've actually applied this knowledge in your work is even better.
Yes.
Like I used the principles of the Convention on the Rights of the Child to advocate for changes to our policy on it.
Exactly. It demonstrates you're not just familiar with the theory,
Right.
but can translate it into real-world policy actions.
Okay.
Finally, let's tackle a question that really tests your big picture thinking.
Okay.
How do you ensure that immigration policies are aligned with the government's broader policy objectives?
This seems like it requires going beyond just immigration and understanding how it fits into a larger policy landscape.
It does.
What's the best way to approach this?
It's about connecting the dots.
Okay.
You need to demonstrate your understanding of how immigration policies can contribute to economic growth, social cohesion, national security, or any other relevant government goals.
So, for example, I could explain how attracting skilled workers through immigration helps address labor shortages
Yes.
and boost economic innovation, or how supporting refugee integration strengthens social fabric
Yeah.
and contributes to cultural diversity.
Exactly. It's about showing you understand the interconnectedness of policy areas
Right.
and can articulate how immigration contributes to broader national goals.
Now, I know we've talked a lot about interview questions, But RoleCatcher offers a lot more than just questions and answers.
You do?
They have this amazing AI-powered feedback system.
Right.
That's what I wanted to ask about.
Right.
I know RoleCatcher is really big on using AI to help you tailor your answers and prep for specific roles.
Mm-hmm.
How does that actually work?
Their AI analyzes your practice answers
Oh, wow.
and provides personalized feedback.
Interesting.
Kind of like a virtual coach.
Oh, cool.
It can point out where you need more detail,
Okay.
where your examples aren't strong enough,
Oh, great.
even suggest ways to improve your delivery.
So it's not just about having a script.
No.
It's about getting that individualized feedback to make your answers truly stand out.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just the content of your answers.
Oh, really?
RoleCatcher's AI also analyzes job descriptions,
Oh,
helping you tailor your CV and resume to highlight the most relevant skills and keywords.
okay. That's incredibly useful, especially in today's job market, where so much initial screening is done by applicant tracking systems.
Yeah.
Those AI recruiters.
Absolutely.
RoleCatcher helps you get past those digital gatekeepers
Mm-hmm.
and ensures your application is seen by human eyes.
That's the goal.
But remember, while keywords are important,
Yeah.
your CV should still tell a compelling story about you,
Right.
your passions,
Yeah.
and why you're a perfect fit for this role.
It's about showcasing your unique qualifications and making a personal connection even in a digital world.
This has been incredibly insightful.
Well, good.
But before we wrap up part one,
Okay.
I want to emphasize the human side of this career.
Right.
It's easy to get lost in the policies and procedures.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is about working with real people whose lives are deeply impacted by immigration.
You're absolutely right. RoleCatcher emphasizes the importance of building those interpersonal skills,
Okay.
understanding the challenges faced by immigrants and refugees. They even recommend volunteering with organizations that work directly with these communities.
Because there's no substitute for that firsthand experience for developing empathy and a nuanced understanding of the issues.
Exactly. It's about going beyond textbooks and statistics,
Yeah.
connecting with the human stories that drive this field.
This has been a fantastic start to our deep dive.
I agree.
We've covered a lot about the role itself, the importance of staying up to date,
Yeah,
and how to tackle some of those tough interview questions.
for sure.
But this is just the beginning.
All right.
In part two, we'll continue exploring more questions and dig even deeper into how RoleCatcher's AI can help you ace that interview.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
We'll be back soon with more insights and tips to help you navigate the world of immigration policy and land your dream job.
Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
See you next time.
Welcome back. Glad we can continue this deep dive into the world of the immigration policy officer.
Yeah, it's a career that demands a lot, but the impact you can have is immeasurable.
I completely agree, and we're not done yet with those interview questions.
Right before we get back to them, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
The emotional side of this work.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to focus on the legal and policy aspects,
Right.
but we're talking about people's lives here. You're right, this isn't just about abstract concepts. It's about families seeking refuge, individuals building new lives, and the ethical considerations that come with those journeys.
Right. RoleCatcher really emphasizes developing cultural sensitivity
Yeah.
and understanding the challenges faced by immigrants and refugees.
Do they even suggest volunteering with organizations that work directly with those communities?
What kind of experience do you think is most valuable for someone wanting to enter this field?
Any experience that exposes you to the human side of immigration,
Okay.
working at a refugee resettlement agency, volunteering with an ESL program, even just talking to immigrants in your community about their experiences.
Yeah.
These interactions build empathy and inform your policy perspective in a way that no textbook can.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's about bringing that human element into the policy-making process.
For sure.
Okay, let's get back to those interview questions.
All right,
We've got a few more to cover that are particularly relevant for senior-level roles.
let's start with this one. Ensuring policies comply with international law. This question signals they're looking for someone with a deep understanding of the global legal framework surrounding immigration.
It's not enough to just know domestic laws. You need to be well-versed in those international conventions and treaties.
Right.
How can you demonstrate that knowledge in an interview setting?
Don't just name-drop conventions, show you understand how they apply in practice.
Well,
For example, you could say, When developing our refugee resettlement program, we used the principles of the 1951 Refugee Convention as a guiding framework to ensure we were meeting our international obligations.
So it's about showing you've actually used those conventions to shape policy decisions, not just that you're aware they exist.
Precisely. Now, this next question is a classic for senior level positions. Aligning policies with broader government objectives. They want to see if you can think strategically and connect the dots between immigration and other policy areas.
This is about demonstrating you understand the interconnectedness of policy, right?
Yes.
That immigration isn't happening in a vacuum.
Exactly. You need to show you can articulate how immigration policies can contribute to economic growth, social cohesion, national security, or any other relevant government goal.
So I could talk about how attracting skilled workers through immigration helps address labor shortages in key sectors.
Yes.
Or how supporting the integration of refugees can enrich our cultural landscape and foster a more inclusive society.
Those are great examples. It's about painting a clear picture of how immigration fits into the larger puzzle of national objectives.
And this is where staying up to date on current events and government priorities becomes really crucial, right?
Oh, yeah.
You need to know what's on the agenda to effectively connect immigration policy to those broader goals.
Absolutely. Reading policy papers, following government announcements, attending relevant conferences, all of these activities help you stay informed and connect the dots.
Okay, last question for this deep dive. Collaborating with other agency stakeholders on an immigration issue, this seems like a given in this role, but what are interviewers really looking for in your answer?
They want to assess your teamwork skills, your ability to navigate different perspectives, and your effectiveness in reaching a common goal. Choose a story that highlights these qualities.
So it's not just about saying I worked on a team, it's about showing how you specifically contributed to that team's success.
Exactly. Explain how you navigated challenges, facilitated communication, built consensus, and ultimately achieved a positive outcome.
For example, I could talk about a time when I had to bring together representatives from different government agencies, NGOs, and community groups to develop a comprehensive strategy for refugee integration.
That's a perfect example. It showcases your ability to work across sectors, manage diverse stakeholders, and find solutions that benefit everyone involved.
Now, I know we've talked a lot about interview questions, but RoleCatcher offers more than just questions and answers. Their AI-powered tools are a game changer when it comes to tailoring your application and practicing your interview skills.
Absolutely. Their CV and resume builder analyzes job descriptions and helps you identify the most relevant keywords and skills to highlight, making sure your application gets noticed. And their interview prep tool provides personalized feedback on your answers, helping you refine your content and delivery.
So it's like having a virtual coach guiding you through every step of the process.
Precisely. It's an incredible resource, especially when you consider how many applications are now screened by those applicant tracking systems. The AI Recruiter's RoleCatcher helps you navigate that digital landscape and make sure your application shines.
This has been such a valuable deep dive into the world of the Immigration Policy Officer interview. We've covered key questions, explored the nuances of the role, and even touched on how technology can give you an edge in the job search process. But what I want to leave our listeners with is this.
This career is about more than just policies and procedures. It's about people, about making a real difference in the lives of individuals and families. It's a challenging field, but the rewards are immeasurable.
And RoleCatcher is there to support you every step of the way, from crafting the perfect CV to acing that interview. Don't underestimate the power of these tools and resources.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive in part 3. We'll wrap things up and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder as you embark on this exciting career path.
Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into the world of the Immigration Policy Officer.
Welcome back to our final segment on prepping for an immigration policy officer interview. We've covered a lot of ground, from understanding the role to tackling those tricky questions and leveraging AI tools like RoleCatcher.
We've delved into the complexities of immigration policy, the need for constant learning, and the importance of approaching this work with both expertise and empathy.
But before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one more aspect that we haven't explicitly discussed: the global nature of this field.
It's a great point. Immigration isn't just a domestic issue. It's interconnected with global trends, international relations, and cooperation between nations.
So how can someone demonstrate that global awareness in an interview? It's about going beyond just knowing the laws of your own country. Stay informed about global migration patterns, emerging issues like climate migration, and the work of international organizations like the UNHCR or the International Organization for Migration.
Reading international news sources, academic journals that focus on global migration, Even attending conferences or webinars on these topics can really make a difference.
Absolutely. Showing that you understand the broader context of immigration and how it's shaped by global forces demonstrates a deeper level of understanding and commitment.
This has been an incredible deep dive, and I feel like we've equipped our listeners with a solid foundation for their interview prep. But before we say goodbye, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about the emotional weight of this work. It's easy to get caught up in the technicalities, but at the end of the day, this career is about people.
It's so important to remember that we're talking about families seeking safety, individuals searching for opportunity, and the human stories behind those journeys.
And that's what makes this work so impactful. It's not just about policy. It's about using your skills and knowledge to create a more just and compassionate world.
Exactly. It's about being a voice for those who often don't have one, advocating for policies that promote fairness, equity, and human dignity.
I think that's a powerful note to end on. We've covered a lot of ground today, but if there's one thing I hope our listeners take away from this deep dive, it's this.
The world of immigration policy is complex, challenging, and constantly evolving, but it's also incredibly rewarding, offering the chance to make a tangible difference in the lives of others.
And with the right preparation, a commitment to continuous learning, and a genuine passion for this field, you can absolutely succeed in this career.
Remember, resources like RoleCatcher are here to support you. Take advantage of their tools, practice your interview skills, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
We've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of the Immigration Policy Officer interview. We hope you found this journey insightful and are feeling empowered to pursue this incredible career path.
Best of luck on your interviews. And remember, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
And that's it for this deep dive into the world of immigration policy officers. We hope you're feeling prepared and excited for what's ahead. We'll see you on the next deep dive.